Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Prediction Show. It is Sunday, the 15th of December, and we have a quartet of Premier League games to get through. Brighton Palace, derby, sort of. City United, that most certainly is a derby. The Manchester derby at 4:30. Southampton against Spurs, big game for both of those sides, given the recent form. And then Chelsea-Brentford, there is some very interesting statistics in that game. We're going to put together a treble as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. And for this video, we are going to be using a brand new tool. This is the Football Form Guide. It is available for everybody from Monday onwards. So you'll be able to get this from Monday, oddalerts.com/form guide. And what it does is it shows you the last 10 data, or the last 5, 6, 20, whatever you pick, for all teams in the Premier League, the Championship, League 1, League 2, La Liga, Bundesliga, all the main leagues and more coming soon. So when you open it up, we can see games won, Liverpool 8 out of the last 10. They're playing Tottenham next. We can see here as well, Chelsea have won 7 of the last 10. And if we go to the last 6 games, we'll actually see that Chelsea have won 6 out of 6. They are playing Brentford today, and we will start with that game because there's some very, very interesting data there. But Chelsea looking to make it 7 wins on the bounce. Let's see if they can do it. We'll take a look at this game. And if you want to win OddAlerts Pro, which will get you access to the new Football Form Guide and many, many other features on the website, just add your predictions as a comment for today's games. Let us know what you think is going to happen in these games. Many people in the Discord thinking BTTS for this one, and you can see why. BTTS and over 2.5 goals, potentially. 3-4 was the previous game for Chelsea, that thriller against Tottenham. Southampton 5-1 before that. 3-0 against Aston Villa. They're in very, very good form, and the 6 wins on the bounce comes across all competitions, as you can see there. They've not lost since the 30th of October in the Carabao Cup. They've not lost in the Premier League since the 20th of October against Liverpool. And one thing we should mention with Brentford, if we look at their Premier League form, you think they're doing okay. A few losses here and there, as you would expect for a team the size of Brentford, no shame there. But when you look at their home form, incredible. Compared to their away form, not so incredible, but as you can see, they are scoring in the majority of games. They failed to score at Anfield, and then they failed to score at Everton. So whenever they go to Liverpool, but that Everton game, they had 10 men for the majority of that game. So will they score at Chelsea? And look at how many goals they score away from home. 1 goal. They've never scored more than once this season away from home, whereas Chelsea at home, it's not as good as you might have thought. Before we toggled it there, they've only won 3 games at home, but they are in sensational form at the moment, and you would expect them to win this game. But one more thing we have to check before you give us your predictions in the comments for this game is the head-to-head data, because this is quite remarkable. In 2024 already, 2-2, so Brentford not lost in that game. Then in 2023, Brentford went to Stamford Bridge, won 2-0. Then again, in April 2023, 2-0 victory away from home for Brentford. A 0-0 in 2022. 4-1 victory for Brentford away at Stamford Bridge again. And then 2021, 22nd of December, that's the last time Chelsea beat Brentford. So that is 5 games unbeaten for Brentford against Chelsea. This is a very different Chelsea team, and at the minute it's a very different Brentford team away from home. So what are your thoughts? What are your predictions for this game? We'll take a look at the odds in a moment once we've looked at the other fixtures, but let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen, what is your score prediction, and you will automatically be entered into a draw to win OddAlerts Pro. Now we'll jump back to the form guide and we will toggle last 10 games, and I'll just show you here that you can toggle last 15, last 20, home, away, overall. We're going to go last 10 because there's something remarkable happening at the moment, and that is if you scroll all the way to the bottom of here, you will see Manchester City. They've won 1 game in the last 10. Ipswich have won more games. Southampton have won more games. Leicester City, who sacked their manager, have won more games. Wolverhampton Wanderers, who look to be about to sack their manager now after that defeat to Ipswich, they have won more games. And this tool allows you to formulate some interesting predictions for bet builders and stuff, because regardless of the wins, the lack of wins, if we then go to teams with most corners, we can see Man City are second. If we go to, let's say, teams with most shots, we can see Man City are fifth here. So in this last 10, they've had the most shots in 8 of their games. And what we can also do is scroll all the way down to shots for. And again, we can see that Man City are third in this list, only behind Liverpool and Chelsea. So this means they are taking many, many shots, as they usually do, not converting as they usually do, and still failing to win the game. They've had many, many shots in the last 10 games, as we can see here. Let's take a look at the data for the Manchester derby. So just before we jump to the fixture, we can see total goals, last 10 games, it is neck and neck. 35 goals, 3.5 goals per game on average for Manchester City and Manchester United. What are your instincts with this game? What is your gut feeling for this one? What type of Man City will we see? Because I think De Bruyne is just slowly coming back into things, and I think he's going to turn up in this game. But they've got to fix that midfield, or Manchester United will exploit it, as worse teams have done in recent weeks. Juventus were cutting through them like butter in the week. This tool also allows you to see team with most X. So if we look at corners, we can see Chelsea have had the most corners in 9 out of 10, City in 8 out of 10. So again, they're having a lot of possession. They're doing the stuff they normally do, but they are not getting the results at the moment because they are conceding so many goals. Let's have a look at over 1.5 goals for. So teams that have scored 2 or more goals, we can see Manchester United, they are third. They've scored 2 or more in 7 of the last 10 games. Where do Man City rank in this list? We have to keep scrolling. They are 16th. They have scored 2 or more in just 3 of the last 10 games. What is going on? This is a game. They're at home. This is a massive game for these big players to show that they've still got it. They've still got the fight. What a day to do it. The derby, the Manchester derby, for Haaland to turn up, for De Bruyne to turn up. The big question is, will they? Let us know your predictions in the comments, and what else can we look at on here? We've already seen the shots, haven't we? So now what I'm going to do is take you to Bet365, because I do think there's decent value today in the foul markets. Let's have a look. So Man City are actually still favourites for this game, 1.61. Haaland anytime 1.72. He's not been at it recently. And I'm just going to take you to the players to commit a foul, because I do think there is, obviously it being a derby, I think there's some value here, some odds that would usually be much, much lower. Players that have been committing fouls recently, and obviously in this fixture and big fixtures have got good pedigree for committing fouls, shall we say. Or, it doesn't have to be a foul, does it? It can be, ill discipline or something, kicking the ball away, whatever. And you'll see my selection in a moment is more towards the ill discipline type rather than an actual foul. But we can see here, Garnacho, if he is playing on that wing, getting back in, 1.9 to commit a foul. The only thing here is who's going to play, who's going to start. And that's where you'll have to do a little bit more research. Kobe Mainu, 1.33 in the middle. These are the ones that the bookies expect to start. Dallo. The one I'm liking at the moment for a treble is Bruno Fernandes. In these big games, he's very, very capable, more than capable of committing a foul or getting booked, giving the referee some of that. More than capable. But I just think it was worth showing here because some of these odds are quite good. De Ligt 1.8, Mazraoui 1.4, Højlund even, he's been in good form. Will he play? He played in the week. But these pressing forwards, I always like him for a foul because even Haaland in some of these big games, he puts himself about a little bit more and is more than capable of committing a foul. He has done. You can look at his data in the past. Gundogan, legs have gone, 1.57. De Bruyne, 1.57. Kyle Walker, 1.83. Again, you might want to wait until the teams are announced for this one. But my pick, and also because I know he's guaranteed to be playing, is Bruno Fernandes at 1.53. So what we're going to do now is jump back to the data, check out another game, and then we're going to jump back to Bet365 and put some selections together. But let us know who you feel will commit a foul in this game. I'll just cross this off so we can take a look at some of the other odds, because City to get the most corners, as they have in the majority of games, 1.18. Not worth it. Team to receive the most cards, I think there's probably value there for City, because it's a derby. It could go either way, this. If City are the City that we've seen in the last 10 games, and they can continue to concede chances and goals, then sure, they can pick up a few cards in this game, no doubt about that. But I would play it as a single, maybe. At fours, it's absolutely worth it as a single. But the rest of the odds, they're really not there, and it's not just this game, it's Sunday as a whole. The odds are not fantastic. The Tottenham game as well. The Chelsea game, as we'll see in a moment, the odds, I think Chelsea to win 1.35 or something like that. So we'll check that out in a moment, and whilst I'm preparing that, get your comments in. What are your predictions for today? So we will jump to the Chelsea game. We've got BTTS 1.53. I think that is the safer option, although Brentford have only scored one as a maximum away from home. Maybe Chelsea will give them more chances. Chelsea to win and over 2.5 goals could be a shout, but as I said, the odds 1.4 now. I think I saw them somewhere at 1.38. I don't think it's worth it, just given the shaky defence of Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, they're looking for 7 wins in a row with this game, and they're more than capable of doing it with the players that they've got. Well rested as well, given that the majority of their players did not travel to Kazakhstan for what was negative 12 degrees. Fair play for the players that went and got the job done, by the way, but they did also concede in that game. Chelsea's defence has been under the radar. The keeper needs replacing, in my opinion. He gave Tottenham so many chances in that previous game. I think a better team would have taken more of those chances that they were given. Tottenham could have scored a few more goals in that game if they were up to it. So I am going to go for BTTS. Let me know what you think about that. I think it is the safest option. BTTS and Chelsea. Chelsea and over 2.5 goals, obviously also capable. We have got Bruno Fernandes in here. We've got a player prop, so maybe you could also go for Palmer to have a shot on target. But as you can see, 1.66, that's with BTTS. So Palmer to have a shot on target is just abysmal odds, absolutely abysmal odds. I remember when the odds for a shot on target used to be decent, but it is Cole Palmer at the end of the day. Last 50 games, he has scored 26 goals and 15 assists, I think. I shared that on X the other day. Absolutely superb stuff, really, from Cole Palmer. What a player he is. Him and Saka, the future of England, no doubt about that. Next, we'll focus on Tottenham, who need a big performance. Big Ange, bit of pressure on him, calling out his players after the game. Teams with most cards, we can see Southampton here. 9 of their last 10 games, they've received the most cards. If we take a look at the card markets as well, scrolling down onto here, there's a lot that you can find on this new tool. BTTS as well, Fulham 9 out of 10, incidentally. Brentford 9 out of 10, that's something that we didn't even mention in the data a minute ago, but of course Brentford this year, amazing for BTTS. We can see there Tottenham as well. 8 of their last 10 games have ended with BTTS. They conceded against Rangers in the week as well. I'm not sure who they will have in defence. Romero is out, isn't he? So BTTS could be a good option, to be honest. It's just, I fancy Rangers to score more than Southampton, if I'm being completely honest. Southampton just look really, really poor this season in recent games. What we can do is take a look at yellow cards 4, and we can see that Southampton are top for the last 10 games, 32, 3.2 per game on average. And if we look at shots on target faced, they are 3rd out of all teams. Incidentally, Brentford 4th as well. So shots on target faced in the last 10, 65 for Southampton, and Leicester up there now after yesterday's game. I mean, after half-time, they were just conceding so many shots, so much space on the edge of the box as well for Newcastle to operate. And if we check out the fixture here, we can see negative 20 goal difference for Southampton overall this season. Just 5 points picked up. They've lost 80% of games. Are they going straight back down? Let us know in the comments. But what is really interesting for this game is that they have scored in the last 5 home games that they've played, including a victory against Everton, including goals, by the way, against Chelsea and Liverpool. So what do we think about this one? What are your thoughts? We looked at cards on the last 10, and we can see that the referee for this game, if we look at his Premier League data, there are a ton of second half cards, 4.5 second half cards so far. He's booked both teams in 5 out of 6, so small sample size, as to be expected. And he's booking the away team more, 3.5. And again, small sample size. If we look at his combined form, we can see that it levels out a little bit. 2.81, so still more cards in the second half. Still booking both teams in the majority. And in terms of the away cards, he is still booking the away team more, 2.39 compared to 1.69 for the home team. But you've got to balance that out with the data we just looked at with regards to Southampton. They are committing a lot of fouls because they give the ball away, isn't it? They give the ball away in their own half. What do you expect? I just want them to adapt. You're just going to have another instance of Burnley last year, and I don't know if that's something Russell Martin wants. But then again, look at Vincent Kompany, look at what he was able to do. Is Russell Martin thinking maybe if I just commit to this attractive style of football, other teams will look at me and think, well, if he's got better players, he will get better results. Sticking with cards, we can look at the home and away form here. We can see that Southampton have had 2 or more cards in every home game, and they've actually had a second half card in every single home game. Spurs in 86% of away games. So let's take a look at Bet365 for this one, because let me tell you, the odds are shocking. Southampton's get the most cards, 1.66. I'm not completely sold on that, just given how Spurs are playing and the makeshift defence that could be in place for today's game. Fouls committed as well. You can see the odds are much lower than the United game that we looked at. That's why I showed, just because the odds are generally a bit higher in that game for some reason, even though it's a derby. Archie Gray played, didn't he, against Rangers? Maybe he will continue to start. So what I'm going to go for with this one is second half cards, and I'm actually going to go with Southampton to be booked more than once in the second half, which gets this to 3.69. And, sometimes I don't like to mix player fouls with just sort of normal slip selections, but I thought make an exception for this day of Premier League action, because let me tell you, the odds, generally speaking, for corners, cards, most shots on target for players and stuff, it's really, really poor. I've got a long list of things that I've researched here that I've not even mentioned, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it when you take a look at the odds, and it's like 1.12 or something. So this is the best sort of mix of value that I could find, and with getting a video together as well. I think it's important not to try and predict the whole game and put together a tenfold or something just for a single game, just because the odds are low. That's what the bookies want you to do. If the odds are super low, just leave it. It's not worth it. So 3.69 Fernandes to commit a foul. It's a derby. He's more than capable of picking up a card in big games, as we've seen. Brentford to continue that run. Was it 9 out of the last 10 BTTS? Chelsea, of course, not the best home form, but they are 6 wins in a row across all competitions, across all locations. And Southampton, more than one card in the second half. I think the game state will define that final one. I mean, if Tottenham are 2-3 up in the first half, if Southampton are just terrible, but they have found a little bit of something recently. I think they only lost 1-0 in the previous game. But let's see. BTTS was on my mind as well for Southampton, Tottenham, but I just really don't trust Southampton in terms of goal scoring at the moment. But of course, Tottenham do have those injuries. So this is the form guide. There is a link in the description. And this will be live tomorrow, Monday morning. It's being tested by season ticket holders right now across the weekend. Any comment on this video will get you access to it. You will be entered into a draw to win access to it. I'll be announcing that in the next video, and also on X before that. So follow on X if you're not. This is a very powerful page. We've got games in the Championship today as well. So if you click on Championship, you'll be able to see the same data for Championship teams, and more leagues coming to this soon, including Champions League, Europa League, maybe Brazilian leagues, any. If you've got any suggestions, just let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.